Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. Kick back, pour yourself a cold one, crack yourself a stiff one, roll yourself a fucking green one if that's the way you want to roll. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god himself, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, my guest is the golden boy, Emman the Kid. I'm excited to have Emman on. He's got a very interesting story coming all the way from Malaysia, wrestling over here in Australia while studying full-time as well. I'm really excited to get into my conversation with Emman, but before I do, I got to take a quick pause for that fucking cause to thank some of those amazing sponsors that help us keep the lights on up in this bitch every single damn week. First up is healthvape.com. Now, if you are a smoker, a vapor, or anything in between, Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products, no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They will help restore your energy while giving you that vital fucking boost that you need. And they are vitamin infused. From what I've been told, it's like vaping a Red Bull. So, guys, go and check out all of their vape and pod products over at healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, ladies and gentlemen, go and check out sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS. Whoa, excuse me. My phone is on loud. What an asshole I am. Let me mute that. But ladies and gentlemen, sleefs.com is your one-stop shop for all your athletic wear. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes that I'm always raving about. Guys, listen, I work full-time. I do multiple podcasts. I'm a dad of 3 kids. I go to the gym. I'm active as fuck. And I wear these dirty boxes. They stay fresh, they stay dry, and they are super comfortable. And when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the day, Mrs. Austin has something to giggle at the front of the boxes, like this funky elephant trunk here. So, guys, go and check out those dirty boxes at sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD and get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But, guys, talking about the MWA Podcast Network, we have a plethora of fucking shows for you guys every single week. We got Killing the Business with former ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel Medina, and King Mega, where these two dudes are breaking down everything that's happening in the world wrestling that week. There is nothing off limits. These guys shoot straight from the fucking hip and tell the fans and viewers exactly what they think of what's going on. So make sure you tune in for Killing the Business. Check out Knights of the Gimmick Table, hosted by the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider, and Cade Lothbrock. That is a must-watch show for every single wrestling fan. These guys have had on, a plethora of guys from the Indies, from ECW, in WWE, AEW. Just an amazing show. Go and check it out. You've got Shooting the Shit Uncensored, which is this show right here, the NXT Roundup. We got you covered. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, like, share, all that good shit. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I'd really appreciate it. We'd really appreciate it. But guys, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with the golden boy, Emman the Kid. And we're live. What's going on, brother? Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? Thank you for having me tonight. Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. Dude, as I was saying, before we went live, man, you have been like just popping up at nearly every single promotion over in Victoria, man. Like I'm seeing your name pop up everywhere, dude. Which is funny because like, being over here, for the past 4 years and really making a name for yourself in the Australian scene here, man. But dude, like, as we were talking before, man, like, how do you find like the differences now, like from being over and training and working and wrestling over in Malaysia to now coming over to another country, not just wrestling, but also like, like culturally as well, like coming and change. How was that for you when you first made the switch from Malaysia to Australia?
Oh yeah, to start off first culturally, it was a culture shock coming here, especially with the way you guys speak and stuff, especially the slangs and stuff. Took me a while, maybe a year or two, but eventually I got the hang of it. You know, even talking to you before the interview and stuff, like, I'm using your slang. Like I don't, I'm Aussie true and true right now. Yeah, it was 2019. I came here maybe 4 years ago. Especially the wrestling, it was different. You know, people are bigger here. People are taller here. Taking my first bump in a 21-foot ring was different than compared to like a 16-foot ring, for example. Like the rings are huge. People are huge. I am an Asian boy coming into Melbourne, Australia. So it was definitely took a while to get used to, but over time, definitely training every week and just getting into the Aussie culture, getting sitting down in crates, having lattes and coffee and magic, you know,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
really made me feel like I belonged here. And I can definitely help the people of Malaysia back home with training and stuff with what I have learned here, because definitely Malaysia and Southeast Asian wrestling is still in the infancy stage, whereas Australia is a bit more advanced. And I feel like I can help contribute to Southeast Asian wrestling in that kind of way.
Like as far as like wrestling over like in Southeast Asia and Malaysia, like how like has wrestling always been part of the culture over there, or is it something that's like relatively new and came in the last like 10, 15, 20 years? Like how's it sort of been over there?
I was definitely in the culture, really deeply into the Malaysian culture. Because even like ages ago, like even when I was, you could see even a baby, or even before I was born, people were watching wrestling. Even when they're having supper, for example, they're watching wrestling on the TV with everyone in public. But when it comes to Malaysian wrestling or like local wrestling, they're a bit iffy. You know what I mean? They don't think like it's good enough. Like, why should we use our well earned money on watching us? So they're really, really focused on WWE and AEW, for example. But when it comes to local kind of stuff, they're more or less wouldn't attend the show, for example.
But you know what? I feel like there's a lot of fans like that that would even be like that here in Australia that would watch AEW, WWE religiously, but when it came to the local product, they would have no idea that it maybe even exists.
Yeah, that's always an issue with us, especially in the Southeast Asian region, because everyone's so used to the mainstream of wrestling, but they don't really focus on the local. Even for sports like football, soccer, for example, and stuff, like they don't really focus on the national and local scene, but they focus more on the British or the American scene, for example. Same as wrestling.
Yeah. But do you feel like, and I think like it's probably the case how Australia was maybe like 20 years ago, where, people that coming up in the wrestling business, like back then here in Australia, would probably look at WWE as being an unattainable goal. Whereas like now you look in 2022, WWE has people, from India, China, Australia, like the UK, all around the world now. Like it's now more obtainable. Do you think that that's also been part of the growth of the local scene over there?
Yeah, heaps. With the WWE having their eyes on the Southeast Asian region, especially, really gave us the confidence. Like, hey, like, fuck, well, like we can actually do this kind of stuff, and we can actually get signed. Because I think back in 2016 or 2017, they came down to Malaysia, Singapore, and Philippines. So especially when it came down to Malaysia, they came to our show, the show that I was a part of, and they scouted me and a bunch of other people. Sadly, I was underaged, like, I was 16, 17, like definitely not 18. And they were
Yeah.
like, look, we'll see you in a couple of more years. We'll contact you if anything happens. But still waiting on that message, on that call, you know what I mean? But
Like, soon as you turned 18, did you like hit them up and be like, "Hey, it's my birthday"?
now it's like, I've still got a lot of stuff that I can definitely improve, like getting out of the Southeast Asian region and kind of just, you know, whatever, just being in the Aussie wrestling scene, or like even the UK, for example, or the US, like just want to get more experience before, they hit me up again, for example. But
Yeah.
yeah, it did give me more motivation. It's like, damn, if they wanted me at 16 years old, like imagine if I was like 22, 23, 24. I'll be fucking amazing by that time as well.
Oh, 100%. But, like, even then, like, I think they look at things and be like, they see raw talent and go, okay, no worries. This is a young guy we can work with, mold, and, create the worker that we need this person to be, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like, coming over, from Malaysia to Australia, like, so you came over here to study, correct? That was the main
Yep.
objective.
Yeah.
Was wrestling on the mind as well when you were coming over here, or was it just like, you know what, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to study, and then the wrestling bug sort of just crept in and dragged you in?
Funny thing is, it was the wrestling that got me here, and then the studies was the backup plan. Funny. But yeah, I originally was planned to go, for example, to New York, like for New York NYU and stuff, or like the UK. But then I was like, New America's too far from home. The UK as well is a bit, sad and rainy and whatever. Hey, Australia's not too bad. There's wrestling here, and Melbourne's pretty not bad as well. I've got friends over there, and I'm like, hey, there's MCW, for example, at the time. I'm like, yeah, I would go there, and that's how I got here. It was mostly the wrestling that got me enticed to study in Melbourne, and then it was just from then on, it was just a backup plan to study.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the wrestling scene? Like, were you streaming and checking out what was going on over here at the time?
I was the first kind of like interaction with indie wrestling was definitely something to do with the UK, or like Melbourne wrestling. I feel like from when I was even young, I probably have seen like MCW kind of content, or like Rev Pro in the UK, for example. Those were the kind of big ones that I noticed growing up before I came here.
Yeah. And as far as like, wrestling and training and first getting into it, like, you mentioned at 16 that you had people knocking on your door interested in you. How old were you when you actually first started training and breaking in?
So when I first started training when I was 13 years old, and funny or not, it was the trainer at the time was like, "Hey, you've got 4 days to train for your first match." I'm like, "Cool!" In front of TV as well. Like, "Oh yeah, there's newspaper coming on." Sick. So obviously it wasn't great, but the Malaysian people, the Malaysian crowd was really appreciative that there was actually professional wrestling in Malaysia now, like a proper school-ish kind of type kind of thing. And yeah, they were just really supportive, but obviously it wasn't as good. It was dog shit, but like people were appreciative of it.
Yeah, but well, I think maybe because the fans like probably aren't as like clued into what it is and like critiqued as far as like some of the other places around the world that you'd find. But once you sort of started breaking in and started getting into it, what was the whole, I like was character work an important part like over in the Malaysian scene? Like, is that like a huge importance to the business over there? Because only reason I ask, I know Mexico promos and stuff like that aren't the main focus. It's more of like the high flying lucha libre moves. In Malaysia, is it, is it character focused, or is it more like the Mexico style, which is more, the high flying or technical side of wrestling?
So during the time when I was training over there, it was definitely very like Western focused, like WWE. So it's more character based and stuff. And I definitely struggled with that at the time. I was mostly, you know, theatrics kind of guy, like all the moves and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I wasn't too big on the characters, but just over time as I grew older, I was thinking of maybe, hey, look, like I'm pretty well off in Malaysia. Like I'm pretty lucky to have this kind of status in Malaysia. Like I'm pretty comfortable. So I'm like, hey, I'm golden boy, I like money. I spend a lot of money. I go out with friends, like I don't really care about how much I spend. Then
Yeah.
over time, when I came to Australia, like the term golden boy kind of went from being this rich, obnoxious, like single kid, like I'm the only child and stuff, to
Yeah.
being like, hey, golden boy kind of also means like, hey, the whole country's putting your trust in me to bring the Malaysian name towards like international wrestling, Australian wrestling. I'm the flag bearer for Malaysian wrestling, for example. So
Yeah.
that's where my character came to be. But definitely like Malaysia, we really focus on the characters because like we focus on all the aspects because for example, my coach now, Carlo Cannon, he explained that like if you don't build anything like all the foundations and stuff, like if you just go straight to the top, it might just collapse, because you don't have a foundation. And that's true.
Yeah.
We really have to work from the ground out if we want to succeed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as well, like you really need to be able to, perform first before you worry about the character work. The character's kind of like the icing on the cake. Once you know how to bump, fall, wrestle, actually work in the ring, the character is probably the last piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah, like we definitely really focus on the characters as well. Even trying to teach the Malaysian crew back home. Like obviously I'm here, but I give them physical drills to do in-ring work and stuff. But we also have online classes once a week, working on the character, their promos and vignettes, for example, to further their knowledge on being a really good wrestler overall.
So you're still like part of doing online training with some of the guys back home.
Yeah, so like Carla and I, we worked together to try to produce the best kind of education we can to give to the Malaysian crew. So we give them drills that they could do in ring, as well as having weekly online sessions with Carlo, talking about match structure, for example, even like character work. Like they really, you know, there's a lot of shit that went down in Malaysian wrestling, like backstage and shit. So like
Yeah.
now it's just rebranding, reworking, and kind of teaching them like the proper way of like trying to learn professional wrestling.
Yeah. What were some of the issues that they had over there? As you were saying, was it like speaking out movement type of issues, or was it just more of like organizational issues?
Actually, surprising, it wasn't the speaking out issue, but it was some organizational issues to do with the previous founder slash coach and stuff. Just shit went down really hard, and just a lot of trust was broken, and a lot of just yeah, basically a lot of trust that was broken. But now like finding our feet again, just like finding like, hey, losing you wasn't a bad thing, it was a pretty positive thing. So we're just working really closely with, for example, the Australian wrestling scene with Carlo as well. And you know yeah, it's going pretty great, and I'm really happy with the progress of Malaysian wrestling so far, especially as well as the Southeast Asian wrestling scene recently coming back to being active for shows as well.
Yeah. How often are they doing shows at the moment?
So for us, Malaysia, we haven't really done a show because we're still training really hard. We're getting new people to join in and doing trials and etc. Whereas Singapore, they just had their most recent show called Fight Club 3, which included my PW wrestlers from Malaysia as well, and other companies as Singapore Pro Wrestling. They're having a show on the 27th of May, which is this Friday, I believe, or maybe on the 28th of May on Saturday. So Philippines as well, and Vietnam and Thailand. They're going crazy. So the wrestling scene is definitely back in Southeast Asia. Although we're in our infancy stage, we're really passionate over what we want to do, as well as the fans understanding how passionate we are. So they will keep on supporting us, for example.
Like with the Southeast Asian scene, is any of these promotions on like independent wrestling TV or like Fight TV at all?
No, I don't think so. I think we're mostly on just social media and just YouTube, because at this point as well, like it's really struggling like to get exposure. We need that exposure for people to want to actually, hey, I'll pay $9 to watch your show. But we're really trying to get the exposure first. For example, with YouTube, trying to get as many people to watch highlights or maybe special match previews or full matches, and then we can get them to subscribe to, for example, a page, because that's
Yeah,
all we're trying to get exposure for the time being.
yeah. And so basically, this stage is the building stages of it,
Yeah,
really.
it's been 8 9 years, but we're still in our infancy stage. We're just working hard to get enough exposure.
I mean, is there like guys over there and girls over there that are like making the plan that you know of to come and travel like over, whether it be to Australia, the UK, the US, to go out there and try and get more like, you know, skills or get more exposure for themselves as individual performers?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like there was the Singaporean wrestler called Dante Chen who just got signed to NXT WWE. So he's definitely doing the Southeast Asian wrestling region a favor, as well as eyes to the Singapore wrestling scene as well. With me, I'm trying really hard to create a name for myself in Southeast Asian wrestling in the Aussie wrestling scene, and then definitely hoping to go to the US or the UK, for example, to do the same message as well. But so far it's, although it's not Southeast Asian, there's still Asian representation in major companies in the States such as NXT or WWE, for example. Like that's still a step up than what we would have seen maybe 40 50 years ago.
Oh, 100%. But you know, for you know yourself though, like when you came over and started like working shows here in Australia, how did you like how is your character perceived by the Australian audience? Was it like straight away? Was it an easy transition for you to sort of get over with the Australian crowd, or was it a struggle for you at the beginning?
When I first got here, a show in Adelaide when I performed there, funny enough, I had a racist confrontation between either one or two people within the same night. And I was
Oh
like, hey,
shit!
maybe do they perceive me as a bad person just because I'm not from here, or what is it? Didn't make sense. But over time as well, like just performing throughout Australia, especially Melbourne, Victoria, like obviously at the start people didn't really cheer for me or like have any reaction towards me. They knew like, oh yeah, I was good, I was from Malaysia, like, hey, okay, but we're gonna be tough on you, we're gonna see like what you can actually do, and then we'll start cheering for you. So same year that I first got here as well, I think I got an MCW booking at the end of the year against Royce Chambers and Jet Ruka, and then after that it was me and Robbie Eagles for MCW as well, and it was definitely a big task for me because
Yeah,
look, I just got here, and like my goal was to wrestle for MCW, one of the biggest companies in Melbourne at the time, and I'm wrestling on the same year that I got here. Like that's insane, and I'm fighting
yeah,
Robbie Eagles as well. Like they must want to do something with me. So that's when I had the utmost confidence of being like, hey, even if I'm doubting myself, like I'm different. Like, I'm not from here. I'm from Malaysia, and I'm working hard to try to make a name for myself. And I'm unique because, like, look, I don't look like everyone else, like in the Aussie wrestling scene. No offense intended, but just like, here's me. I'm here all the time. I'm available all the time. You can get me for any show. Be, I'll attract people. Like, I promise you, I will attract people.
yeah. But it's funny that like that like you had that bad experience only a few years ago in Adelaide where people like are saying racist comments. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I don't think that that's anything about that. I think that's more of a reflection on them as individuals than anything else that you could have done. I think that's one thing in wrestling. You can boo, call someone an asshole, a low life, whatever. Go nuts, but there's got to be a limit of like, in racial slurs and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
think that there's a limit, man. Yes, you're a performer. Yes, they paid a ticket, but like, no one deserves to be racially fucking insulted, no matter what they're doing, whether it's wrestling or just walking down the street.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
But like getting that opportunity to wrestle like someone against Robbie Eagles, like how was the nerves going into that, man? Because Robbie's a pretty big name here.
Yeah, like before I got to Australia, I think I tweeted something like, "Oh, here's my list of wrestlers that I want to wrestle in Australia," and it had Robbie Eagles. And surprisingly, someone from Adelaide, actually, surprisingly, before the racial controversial thingy-majig, he's like, "Hey, I wanted you to wrestle Robbie Eagles on my show." I was like, "Yeah, sick." And when I first I got to Australia, Melbourne in 2019, that was actually my first Australian match. It was in Adelaide against Robbie Eagles and JK Moody from New Zealand. It was in front of 40 people in a warehouse. And I've never felt so happy before to be wrestling Robbie Eagles in front of 40 people.
How was the match?
It was not bad. Yeah, it was did what we had to do, but definitely it was a big a step up to me that I'm able to wrestle someone like Robbie Eagles and JK Moody, like come in someone from Malaysia in the main event against someone from New Japan Pro Wrestling and someone from New Zealand that's really well known. Like that's why would they put me in this position and make me win? Like I won the match. That's got to be saying something, like they maybe a step, like Australians really trust me even when I just got here, for example.
Yeah, dude. And like for you, what was probably the biggest takeaway from that match?
The biggest takeaway was even though the turnout might not be great, or like the circumstances might not be great, like if to me it was like, look, I'm excited to wrestle these guys, like even if it wasn't a 5-star 7-star match, like I'm just happy to do something with them, because it's like I wouldn't get the opportunity to have my first Australian match against these two. Like, who
it's
am
it's
I? Like,
it's
I was 18 at the time. Like, why would you
yeah,
put your trust in me to
it's
be in the
setting the
main
bar,
event and win?
but it's kind of like setting the bar high for yourself coming in. It's like, well, where do I go from here after wrestling? If the
Yeah, I'm
best in
like,
Australia, the
fuck,
best in
like
New
main
Zealand,
event in
that's
front
right.
of 40 people. Like, okay, that means like people actually do want to watch me wrestle. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like the confidence after that would have been sky high for you. But once you sort of like got the ground running, like, and you started, really getting into, breaking down, and making a name for yourself here in Australia. Once you sort of started to get the reaction that you wanted, and started getting that support behind you, you know, what was, then the goal of your next step in your career here?
So other than trying to get them to get behind me, for example, it took a while for them to kind of realize like, hey, like I'm here, like, hey, okay, let's start cheering for him. Yeah. But the next step was trying to get them invested into me as a person. Like, hey, okay, cool, my matches are like this, like the standard and the Kid matches. But for example, like what about putting more attention to me as a person, my personality when I do promos and stuff, like because I don't really get the enough opportunities for promos in wrestling other than if I were to try to do it myself.
Yeah.
I obviously want to learn and improve my promo skills because I feel like I can do more from there. Like, look, I know I'm great at wrestling, like the abilities and moves and whatever, but I feel like I can do even better with my character work. Like I feel like I could. I'm just scratching the surface, but I feel like I could do heaps of amazing stuff with that as well. And wouldn't that make me the most fucking greatest overall wrestler, sports entertainer, whatever you call it?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think it as well, like to be able to do all the flashy moves and to do all the high flying moves and all that as well. It's all great, and I think it gets performers over to a certain level, but it's I think the character that really sort of takes it to the next level, and really gets there. For yourself, like, do you have a preference? Like, do you prefer to work heel or babyface?
I don't have a preference, but this whole time I've been working baby. But obviously, given the opportunity, I would love to work the other way. But who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. But I suppose as well, like, with your goal to try and boost the awareness of Malaysian wrestling, you really want to be a baby face to make sure
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
put you in for it.
yeah. Heaps. Yeah.
But as far as like wrestling over in Melbourne, Adelaide, have you had the opportunity to come down to Sydney and wrestle down here yet?
I did at one point. It was for an event. I can't remember the name, but it was in Blacktown, RSL. If I don't know where that is, but it was like, yeah, no, not too bad. But I did when I went to Sydney, I did train at PWA, and I did learn a lot of things as well, and got to talk with the coaches and the students there as well, which was really good for networking and just getting myself known in the Sydney region of pro wrestling as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
is that something that you'd like to sort of do more of as well, like coming down to like Sydney, Queensland, other states, and trying your hand down here?
Yeah, 100%. Like when I first got here 2019, I did travel like to Adelaide and Sydney for smaller shows, but I would love to travel more interstate other than outside of Victoria, and maybe end up in Perth, Sydney, etc. Like I just want to wrestle the whole of Australia.
Yeah, I know. Like, dude, like there's so many good promotions now all over the fucking country. Like it's ridiculous. Like I sit there and go, oh man, I wish this promotion could stream a show. I'd really like to check it out because you see the clips, the photos and stuff like that. And there's so much talent there, like EPW in Perth, Wrestle Rampage, Riot City,
Yeah.
in Adelaide. There's so many good companies out there with so many amazing workers here. Do you think that the Malaysian scene could eventually grow to being being an equivalent to Australia to what it is here?
Yeah, I would think so as well. Like not just the Malaysian scene, but I think the whole of
Southeast.
Southeast Asian as well. Like we're so close to each other that we have similarities, but we're definitely like a couple steps behind, and we're still in the infancy stage. But I feel like just in the matter of time, we would improve. Like what we're seeing now, we're collaborating with each other, we're working together, and we're even Asia and Australia, we're talking closely, working together to bring wrestling together. Like connect. Like that's the whole point. Because like if you don't work together, like how are you gonna like push each other up to success? Like you're
Oh,
not gonna
exactly.
get anywhere if you don't work together. You're just gonna be like grumpy old people getting mad at with like territorial stuff, you know?
But that's the thing, the fact that you guys can have that, being in your infancy stages of it and have that understanding is like, hey, we're going to be much better if we're all working together and building each other up than being in competition with each other. And by doing that as well, it's like, talent from different places, like Thailand can come to Malaysia, Malaysia can go to,
Yeah.
Singapore and places like this. The cross pollination of talent is only going to make everyone else better.
Yeah, that's always the mission. Because like even for example, we're working so close with a promotion in Singapore called Grapple Max. Like we just did a show with them, and they're very happy with our wrestlers as well and our presentation. Like it's good working relationship. Like why break that down? Like work together. You're gonna
Yeah.
succeed together.
Whereas I think years ago in wrestling, it's the opposite way of,
Yeah, it's the
like
opposite
the
way.
throat
Yeah.
cutters and the kneecappers of just like, nah, just tear people down and we'll take that spot. Whereas you're seeing that difference in professional wrestling from around the world, really. Whereas like people want to work together to make the product overall better.
Yep.
But For yourself, you came over here to study. You've been here for 4 years, right? How much longer has your studies got left here in Australia? And once your studying is done, is that Em and the kid going back to Malaysia, or are you staying here and going to try and dominate this Australian scene even more?
So speaking right now, it's my final year of uni here. So in a way that this would be my last year in Australia. But hey, surprise, I'm staying here forever. I'm planning to stay here forever. After graduation, I'm gonna try to get work here and get a temporary residence and hopefully a permanent residence in Australia as a citizen here. I've noticed a lot of promotions as well, like, like put your trust in me. Put your trust in me with storylines and plots and big time matches, because I'm not going anywhere. I promise you. I'm going to stay here forever. Like, you can trust me. I'm not going back home to Malaysia. I might go there for a holiday, but I'm not going there forever. I'm planning on staying in Australia forever and ever. So don't you worry.
Do you feel? Do you personally feel promotions aren't giving you certain opportunities or storylines or big matchups or big opportunities to grow a storyline because that they fear that you are going to be gone at the end of the year?
Personally, that's what I felt as well, because like I know that this is my last year. And maybe, hey, people don't know that even though I'm saying that I'm gonna stay here, maybe there's a chance that I can't stay here. Maybe to them, they're like, hey, okay, we'll book you, but like we won't put you in big storylines or matches and stuff, because like there might be a chance that you're not gonna be here for the long run. Like, we'll put you in matches. Hey, there's Emma the kid's face on the poster, but you're not in anything important. But to me, it's like, hey, I can really do something for your company. Yo, you can. It's cool if you put me in matches and stuff, one-off things. But if you really put me in storylines and stuff, I can really do something for your company. Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be here, and I'm a really good asset to any company that would want to book me.
Do you feel like a little bit disheartened that you just put in, like, as you said, one-off matches as opposed to sort of long-term storylines?
No,
Like, is
I'm
it
not. I'm not.
frustrating?
Yeah, I'm not demotivated because of that, or like getting angry about it as well. It's just like, hey, that's what it is. Like, if wrestling is like that, it doesn't matter to me. But I just wish that, give me the opportunities, because people like me, they don't really get these kind of things. And it's like, hey, if you really give me this opportunity, I'm gonna go with it 110%. I'm not just gonna half-ass it. I'm really gonna do a great job of this, and I'll put your company on the map.
Dude, you have had some pretty big matches though. Like, you recently teamed with Robbie Eagles as well. You've got another big matchup coming up against Matt Diamond on the 4th of June at Renegades of Wrestling. Which, we were talking before the show went live, dude. Like, Renegades of Wrestling is just a promotion. It just, dude, like the first show, like seeing some of the clips and photos from it, man, that was like fucking pretty big crowd, man, for a first show. I was blown away.
Yeah, it felt like a fever dream. It didn't feel real. Like, when I first got to the venue, I was like, hey, everyone's so happy. Is this a dream, or what is this? Like, this is so positive. Like, I've never felt this happy, this motivated, this like pumped up before for a wrestling event. And obviously the people, the crew working for Renegades as well, they're fucking amazing. Like, you wouldn't feel left out any moment in that locker room, or even in the management, for example. And teaming up with Robbie Eagles, anyone who knows me knows that I always look up to Robbie, just because there's couple traits that I can see that I possess from him, even just facing him, or even just being his tag team partner just recently. Like, I feel like there's kind of things that I take from Robbie that I put into my character as well. Even the pride of like bringing Southeast Asian wrestling into the eyes of everyone else. Like, hey, that's this kind of similar mission that we're trying to go for at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's something that I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it definitely sounds very similar to what the Australian scene is like with Malaysia. Like when Australia had started the "You're Going to Notice Us," I think that you guys are probably going towards that, man. And I think probably in the next couple of years, the Southeast Asian scene is definitely going to sort of flourish. Yourself having these opportunities and getting to tag with someone like Robbie Eagles, and even be able to sort of start communicating stuff back home to your countrymen as well is really remarkable and very inspiring as well. But this match that you've got coming up against Matt Diamond, first time you guys have wrestled each other.
This would be the second time, actually. Yeah.
Second time,
Yeah.
right? And Matt Diamond, a guy again, one of Australia's top talents, been around for a very, very long time. What are you hoping that this match you're able to achieve from this match? Like, what are you hoping to come away from it? Are you wanting to sort of prove something to the audience, promoters? What is it that you're hoping to achieve coming out of this match?
Yeah, actually, like like the first time Matt and I faced each other was at Deathmatch Down Under for a singles match, and it was good, it was great, but personally, we felt like we could have done better. Just a couple of things that we just personally felt like we could have done heaps better. And now it's a second opportunity to do that in front of Renegades of Wrestling as well, and it's kind of like they're putting us in a really big position, a lot of pressure. Like we're the main event of the show, their second event after their first crazy show. You know, like high flyers, they don't really get the attention and importance in being the main event, for example. We're always in between, before intermission, or even etc. etc. But like, hey, we're in the main event. Like, we're not gonna let anyone down. Any high flying wrestlers in Australia or even the world show is thinking like, hey, I'm just gonna be uh a middle show act, for example. No, you can be the fucking main event if you fucking do it right. Like if you work hard,
100%.
if people really support you, like, hey, you can be the fucking main event and you're a high flyer. Like, I'm not as big as any other people that you see, like, but I'm fucking main eventing the show. I'm main eventing with Matt Diamond, who's been a staple name in Australia, and I'm doing my countrymen of Malaysia and Southeast Asia a favor that I'm wrestling in the main event as the best pro wrestler to come out of Malaysia. Like, that's fucking insane for people to think like, hey, if I want to be a wrestler, like, look, Emman the kid from Malaysia did this. He main evented a show in Australia. Like, if he can do that, I can join wrestling as well.
Yeah. I think it's definitely inspiring for others as well. For yourself, it's an amazing opportunity, and I think that this match is really going to, be an opportunity for you to set the world on fire and really show what you can do on that main event level. I definitely am excited to check it out. Hopefully, they're going to be streaming it, recording it somehow. Otherwise, I may have to fly down to Melbourne
Come
and
here. No,
for
better to
the
watch
weekend
live.
to check it.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to get down to Melbourne for the longest time, so why not make the first time to go see Em and the Kid in the main event? But for you, like your goal and ultimate goal in wrestling, is it to go to WWE? Is it to go to an AEW?
Yeah, it's definitely to get signed to a major company like WWE, AEW, or even New Japan Pro Wrestling, and as well as the mission of trying to get people to really see like, fuck, man, this is what I've been trying to do for all these years. Like, this wrestling in Southeast Asia. Support your local shit, man. Like, we're working hard to get onto the TV and mainstream. If you just support us, they'll make it even better. Like, you just gotta keep supporting us, not just really give a shit and like hate for it. Like, one day we're gonna be on your TV screen and you're gonna support us.
And you know what? Like it's kind of I think in the favor with you guys as well that Japanese wrestling is so big. Do you think that the Asian connection there is a beneficial for the Malaysian sort of thing to sort of connect with the Japanese sort of like companies over there and bring them in? Do you think there would be a good crossover there?
I would feel like, yeah, but not as big as the Western tropes that you would normally see in wrestling and stuff. But definitely there's a small niche market when it comes to Japanese wrestling in Malaysia and stuff, especially even in Singapore and Philippines and Thailand as well, especially. Yeah.
So, like, as far as like over in Philippines, like, do they draw big houses over there? Like, are they getting big shows?
They draw huge houses just because of how supportive their people are, their fans when it comes to wrestling as well. Singapore as well, Malaysia as well, but it's just in terms of trying to promote the show to them because we, you know, not to stereotype it, but Asians are typically tend to go to a show last minute, purchase a show last minute. We're never gonna get it. We're not gonna get the ticket in advance. We're gonna get it on the day itself, 2 hours before the show, for example. That's just how we are.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to
That'd be
get.
nerve wracking though. Like, you haven't sold a ticket to a show, and then like 2 hours before the show, 200
Yeah,
tickets
it's
sell.
just about the exposure. It's like, hey, come on, like you can support us. Like it's not gonna be horrible, although it's not gonna be to the standards as you see on TV. But hey, we're trying. If you support us, we'll continue to evolve and develop and maybe be a big thing in the country as well.
No, absolutely. But it is getting to that time for 60 seconds with Piers. How this is going to work out, me and Emman discussed this before, but if this is the first time you're tuning into the show, how this game works is I'm going to fire a bunch of questions at Emman. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Are you ready to get the game started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the clock starts now. Snapchat or TikTok?
Snapchat.
One has to go. Game of Thrones, Lord of Rings, or Harry Potter?
Game of Thrones.
If you were to release an album, what genre of music would it be?
Rap.
What is your nickname? What was your nickname growing up?
Small boy.
What is the weirdest thing you have ever eaten?
Raw horse meat in Japan.
Oh. What did you get in trouble most as a child?
Sniffing my own butt.
What was the name of your first car?
John. John.
John, if you could take all the credit for any film in history, which film would it be?
La La Land, of course. Yeah.
Okay. How old were you when you found out about Santa Claus?
Maybe 5.
What was the last show that you recorded or downloaded?
Modern Family.
What is the worst gift you ever received?
A pineapple.
Favorite song to sing at karaoke?
Oh, Hey Eileen. I don't know if that's the name, but yeah.
And
Come on,
last,
Eileen.
come on, Eileen. And last one, in 5 minutes, you were being abducted to go in outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
A toothbrush and a helmet.
A toothbrush and a helmet. There you go. So, like, what? So why the helmet and a toothbrush?
So toothbrush is like keep your hygiene, cleanliness clean, whatever shit. Like, hey, you don't want to smell your breath talking to an alien. And a helmet, I thought, oh, maybe if you go out, maybe you can't breathe. That's a helmet. But like, I forgot you need the suit as well. So maybe you're fucked. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Just stay inside the inside the spaceship. You'll be fine. You'll be with the aliens, man. They'll take care of you.
Yeah,
But
if you got a good breath, like they won't hesitate to like, yeah, they won't bother you.
yeah, you got that funky ass Earth breath, man. They're gonna kick you out. But dude, where can everyone follow you on social media?
You can follow me on all social medias at Emman_the kid. So follow me up there. I'm mostly active on Instagram because that's where I'm doing the most, the best social media work over there. I'm shit on Twitter, but please follow me there as well.
There you go. And where can people get some Emman the Kid merch?
You can get some Emman the Kid merch at wrestlermerch.com or even at shows that I'm a part of. And I'm hopefully getting a store for merchandise soon as well. So you guys stay tuned to my social media for that. But thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble and talk shit today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely want to get you back on for a part 2 sometime down the track. It's been an absolute great time talking with you. Guys, thank you for everyone who tuned in live. Thank you for everyone who tuned in after we are live, listened on a podcast platform. Please subscribe, like, share, hit the bell to stay notified, comment, leave us a 5-star review, all that good shit. But ladies and gentlemen, also make sure to check out our sponsors, healthvape.com and sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchases. But guys, until next time, we'll see you again very soon. All the best. Take care. Mwah! We'll see you later. Peace.